Thank you, Mr. President, for hosting this and for making sure that the youth have an important voice here at this Commonwealth meeting. I want to specifically thank the young people, Jean-Claude, Kim, Christabel, Famida, Kendall, Namir, Shagufta, and everyone else who's here. I know there's a tendency when we have gatherings like this where young people come and present and share their perspectives, for a lot of us in the room to nod and say, those young people are the future leaders of the Commonwealth. You are the leaders of tomorrow. And I don't want anyone to think about that anymore with you young people. We don't need you to be leaders tomorrow when you do a few more years of school and work your way into politics or business and then suddenly become leaders. We need you to be the leaders you are today. We need to recognize that the words you have today, the voices you have today, and not just the things you can tell leaders like us that we should be working on, but the things you can do and must do yourselves is what the world needs, is what the Commonwealth needs. To build on what Paul has said, we need you acting. And in order to do that, we need to make sure we're empowering you as much as we can. So it's important to have these sessions now where you get to report directly to a collection of us of all the things you're working on. But what happens between Commonwealths as well? How we actually empower you to weigh in and shape the things, whether it's educational programs and the jobs of tomorrow, or whether it's economic opportunities, or whether it's fighting climate change. You should be directly contributing to the policies and the positions that the Commonwealth puts forward as an organization and that all of us bring back to our countries as well. It is more than just checking in with young people, because what we need right now in all our governments, in all our organizations, is more long-term thinking. Politicians, we tend to work on a shorter-term cycle. What's going to help me get reelected? What's going to matter to people who are worried about inflation and the cost of food, the cost of fuel right now? And yes, that's really important, and we stay focused on that. But we also have to know that the decisions we take now will resonate for a decade, for a generation, for 100 years, particularly when we talk about things like climate change. And that's where your perspective of not thinking about, well, what are you going to be doing next year or the year after that? Well, how are you going to be living 20 years from now? What kind of future do you want to build for your grandkids, which you haven't really thought about yet? That level of thinking is essential in government. One of the things that Canada did when I first got elected was I created the Prime Minister's Youth Council. And it's, well, lots of people have youth councils, and it's a very trendy thing to do as politicians. But what we made sure to do is actually connect those young people to the levers of power, to shaping policy, to sitting down and working with ministers on different things. And yes, they reshaped Canada's youth policy that made it into legislation and is now shaping the way we actually engage and empower young people. But they also weigh in directly on issues like reconciliation with Indigenous people and how the government's doing on that, and climate change. And they're helping shape policy in a way that isn't just, well, this is what young people think, I hope government takes it away and does something with it. And that's what we need from all of you. We need you to be involved, but we also need one other thing. All of you who are sitting in this room, engaged in leadership and politics, you have 6 or 7 friends, or maybe 20 friends, who are impressed that you're doing this, but could never see themselves doing this, or don't particularly want to be interested in politics. Don't think it has anything to do with them. You need to help us, as leaders, as organizations, connect with them too. Because if we don't bring all young people along in demanding and shaping the better future for themselves, for their community, for the Commonwealth and the world, then we're missing an opportunity to actually get it right. And right now, the amount of trouble in the world, means that if we don't empower you to help shape how we all fix it, then we're not going to get it right. So I am deeply, deeply grateful to see all of you here and look forward to continuing to work with you and a lot of exciting young people like you in the coming years as we tackle these big problems and solve them together. Merci, mes amis.